Hello and welcome to the first video on my new channel, which is Simo's Hobby. I'm going to be going through a tournament report that I did recently, which was Mancunian Carnage. Yeah, so Carnage itself is run by Alex Jones, a very lovely man if you've ever met him. Very eccentric, but still lovely. And this is run in the Element Games in Stockport. Very large store. I think it's their main one. If you go there, you're probably going to be spending a ton of money while you're also playing these games, so look out for that. So while Carnage is marketed as a more casual approach at tournaments, you do still get a lot of very good players there, a lot of high level talent, Team England players, Team Wales players, etc. turning up there. So even with the soft scoring sort of having a big weigh-in on the final podiums, it's, you still get very good games, so don't expect to come down and just absolutely stomp everyone, but it's a very good time. As I said, it's more weighed in with soft scores of did you get any points for painting, did you get any points for best sport, etc. And those really add up. Try to make it a little bit more casual and try and invite more friendly atmosphere rather than just I won or I lost. Also, another thing to keep in mind, it's also a fully painted tournament, so you've got to make sure your army is, up to snuff, because some of the painted armies there are fantastic. I'll try to get some pictures of it so you can really see what was on display for best nomination and stuff. Even the conversions and all that looked really good. You've got a painting nomination of what everyone voted for the best painting, but then you've also got the judges vote where they sort of pick the ones they really liked, maybe one that stood out a little bit or had some really good conversions. But that does lead on to what I decided to take, which was Sons of Behemoth, Gargants, I'll just call them from now on, easy to say, and just 4 models. It's my most played army, very used to them. It's just run forward, smash, see if we win or not. I was originally going to take Luminef, but someone in my chat decided to call me out on them and say that Giants were a shit army, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to show you wrong. Bit of a spoiler, but I guess you can see how well that went. So here's the list I took. As you can see, just 4 giants. Nice and simple. Well, 3 giants and a Kragnos, but he's honorary giant. Master the Paths, Killer Hero, all that stuff. Not too hard. Intercept and recover. Hopefully I kill some important things. As I said, we're here just to fight, and that's it. Taker's Tribe gives me the extra callous feet. Great into infantry. Not bad into other things, but still is pretty nice. And the Mantle of Tuscan Horns for that go turn, where hopefully just army wide I get a +1 to hit, which takes me from 4s to 3s. So as I said, it's just a quick run forward, take what I can, try to get some fights off with 3d6 charges and go from there. For game 1, we are playing on Noxious Nexus. Really great battle plan for me, not for my opponent unfortunately. I was playing against Blades of Khorne. I don't know too much about the army, but you can see it just seems sort of standard lists, a few warriors, a few reavers, things to buff them up for a big go turn, and then chain fighting with the bloodletters. So my opponent was a lovely chap, as all my opponents were. I could not complain about any of them. Deployment wise, very simple, for me at least. Most 3 giants up front, 1 on the side maybe, close by, but also can take a side objective if need be. He spread his a bit, had his sort of auras and everything in line, with bloodletters and the blood taker on the side, or skull taker, sorry, on the side, just to try and have a decent chance of grabbing the objective on the end. With this one, I give my opponent the first turn, hoping potentially for a nice double depending on how things roll. He moves forward very cagey, assigning his treasures to his blood warriors, bloodletters, and the big Khorne hero who was taking his dog for a walk. It's just sort of moving, not full movement forward, while screening off a few things with the reavers at the front. Over to my turn. I move forward full 10 inches with Giants in tow, hoping to try get a turn 1 charge off. maybe just killing the Blood Reavers or doing heavy damage to Blood Reavers and then powering through to get the giant back into safety. I, however, rolled a massive charge, which got me into his back lines actually, and I was able to get towards his Wrathmongers and his Skull Reapers. And, you know, this tempted me heavily, and I did, and I went for it. Charged in with the mortal wounds from jump up and down, and from the charge in, I managed to kill one Skull Reaper, and I thought, okay, that's not too bad. And then, yeah, we go all out, trying to kill the Skull Reapers. Bear in mind, this is my heavily buffed up War Stomper, so he's going into infantry, so he's -4 rend, D3 damage +1, heavy hitting guy. He manages to kill, I think, one Skull Reaper on the swing. He misses pretty much everything, which is not great because I've really thrown him in there, and he ends up taking back from the Reavers, the Skull Reapers, and the Wrathmongers. I think he might have popped his banner as well. He ends up taking something stupid like another 25-26 wounds back, which is not great, as I was hoping I would really dent the Skull Reapers a lot more, or just get rid of them altogether, as they're quite a big damage output for Khorne. I powered through, and I managed to get maybe one more guy, so altogether I think I only kill like 3 or 4 Skull Reapers, which is not great, but it's still helpful. I power through, get back into safety. We go into the turn prio, and Khorne ends up winning this turn priority. We go to the movement. It's just sort of some guys move to the side to start positioning to take the middle objective, while the rest of his force all moves down forward towards me. I roll for a redeploy, hoping I can just get my very injured giant out of the way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. I only roll a 1, which is not great. He actually fails the roll on a 3, which I thought fantastic, but with his Khorne abilities, he says he gets a reroll with one of the dice, which he does, and it only goes to a 4 maximum. So if I'd rolled more than a 1 on that redeploy and gotten, 2 or 3, I would have my giant would have survived. Unfortunately, not the case, but hey ho, we continue on. Although with the redeploy and then the power through adding up, it does put my giant sort of back in my lines, so when he charges into me, it puts me at a very, very close counter charge range, which I do. I counter charge my Gatebreaker in, and even though my War Stomper ends up dying, I'm able to kill what's left of his Skull Reapers with my Gatebreaker, which is very, very handy, as that's one threat taken off the board at least. Going into my turn, I charge in Kraken Eater on the right hand side of the board, goes into his Blood Warriors, kills 10 of them, very, very handy. The Bloodletters and Blood Warriors coming on to my end and end up doing about 18 damage, so I'm about half wound on, I believe it's my Kraken Eater on the side. The Kraken Eater there is pretty much stuck in combat with Bloodletters and Blood Warriors, because there's quite a lot of them on that side for the rest of the game. One thing he does do very well is he keeps every round stuffing 2 Blood Warriors in his bag, because I was opting for them because they've got a better save. I can really dent the Bloodletters due to their bad save. Blood Warriors are a bit harder to chew through, so keep rolling, stuff them in the bag, and every round I get 2. And by the end of the game, he's got 6 or 8 Blood Warriors just in his net that he's just carrying around with him. So that was a very handy on that end. But yeah, there wasn't really too much left from this game. It literally just sort of turned more into giants whittling down what was left of Khorne's army, while Khorne tried to salvage what points he could get left from this. He did chuck his Rafax into my gatebreaker, and unfortunately a lot of his units were quite close to the Rafax, so I was able to sort of piling Conga around the Rafax constantly to get into combat with his other units and kill them that way, not actually having to charge them or anything like that, which is something that I don't think he expected. And yeah, it was really just mopping up the board, scoring what points I could get. The Kraken Eater dies eventually, but by that point I've got Kragnos and I've got a Gatebreaker on very high points, and I'm able to finish off that game points wise. Can we see what points we got? Yeah, so points wise at the end of it, this is excluding secondaries. I'm gonna not include the secondaries until sort of later on, or mention them later on, but points wise it was 66 to me, 15 to Khorne. There we go, we're off to a roaring start. You know, we won the first game and it was quite a heavy win as well, so unfortunately, foreshadowing wise, this does mean I'm going into another army which won very, very well, which is Lumineth. I have zero experience with Lumineth, but I've heard everyone talking about the Lumineth boogeymen, and unfortunately it was pretty true. My next player is a very, very good player. I think, again, I'm not sure if he was Team England player or he's on with them, and he thoroughly thrashed me. Really not much to go through in this game. It just sort of went from try to fight, he fights first with four things, not everything, but four things before I get to fight. And yeah, every turn a giant just died. Wasn't too much I could do. And then spoilers, I thought, well, I'm 1-1 now at least. You know, go into a different army. I get Lumineth again. Against also, this one's a little bit different. There's no Dawn Riders and stuff. It's got a lot of Sentinels, but against me, that's pretty good, as that's a lot of shots, and I have no save against them realistically. And yeah, again, it just happened again. Slowly my army just, not even slowly, sorry, very quickly my army just gets whittled down, and I just get absolutely smashed again. Both great players, both played it extremely well. It was on Creeping Corruption and Life Cycles, so there you go, very rapid. That's day one pretty much done. In terms of my games, yeah, I'm 1-3. Not amazing, but you know, definitely can be worse. Team wise, you've got two of my team are contending on the top tables, and then sort of the rest of them are sort of hanging out around my area. They kept flexing everyone that they were 3-0, but they weren't telling everyone that that was 3 losses and 0 wins, not 3 wins and 0 losses. That is day one wrapped up. Day one's always quite a busy day. It's 3 games rammed into one day, even with Giant, where all my games usually finish with an hour 40 on the clock still. It's still pretty tiring, you're still moving around a lot, still chatting a lot. And then after that, there's only one way really to cap out the day, and I'm always going to shout this place out. I will never not mention it if I'm in the area. We all went to a place called Bunny Jackson's in Manchester, which is a place I've visited a lot. If you are ever in the area, I would wholly recommend it. Some of the best wings I've ever had, and I think my friends generally agree. It's a great vibe, sort of a sports, new metal, pop punk bar. Just great vibes, great food, would recommend. And that takes us on to day 2. So we start off day 2, Grasping Thorns. I'm against a Skaven Rat Ogre list. I think the actual thing of it is called Thanquil's Mutated Menagerie. That's the one. Quite an interesting one. I've not played a lot of Skaven, let alone this Army of Renown, I think it is. And actually, I mean, this, you know, most things do against giants, but this felt quite nasty, and this would be just turn sort of a big fight in the middle. But the Skaven have a lot of little tricks and little things. So they've all got shooting, and it's all at rend 1, so it's all pretty much going through, lots of damage going through, just lots of chip damage, giants dying quickly. They also have a really nasty rampage, which is that I get -1 to all my attack characteristics, which is not great when you're playing high damage, low attack numbers. You know, each attack is like 4 or 5 damage. Suddenly I'm losing one of those on each profile, going from 4 attacks, 5 attacks to 3 attacks, which is not great, especially when you're hitting on 4s. So that was quite nasty. But yeah, the game was pretty good in terms of what I could have done. Probably a few mistakes here and there, but started off, Rats got the first turn, they moved up forward, chucked out their Warp Lightning spell. Me going second, I thought why not counter charge it, it moves me forward, smash the spell. Going into my turn, he counter casts, gets the spell back out, but it's a little closer to him now because of my guy moving forward, which actually left a bit of a closer gap than would have been previously there before. So when my army moved up forward, Kragnos rolled his charge, wasn't able to charge directly into, I think it was his it's a Brood Terror. Yeah, he had a Brood Terror sort of front and forward, and I don't think he expected me to get into it, but due to how close it was to the Endless spell, I was able to charge one of the Endless spells. And due to, again, I think it's a very giant specific thing, due to how big my base is, I'm close enough to him to get the Mortal Wound charge off. I end up doing 12 Mortal Wounds to the, what's it called again, Brood Terror, and I'm able to sort of kill it off all in one. It does mean Kragnos all the way up, front and center by himself.
I'm in danger!
Where he wins the roll off, and with that, all the shooting and all the charging, you see, sort of positions very nicely around Kragnos, and yeah, he gets absolutely obliterated. I think he pretty much dies just to shooting, or has like 1 wound left in which he just dies. He gets his rat abominations into 2 of my giants, so he's able to rampage both of them. It fails on my Gatebreaker, but on my Kraken Eater, I'm pretty sure it goes off, and I think it ends up going twice throughout the game. The interesting thing with this one is the thing that does the ability guarantees dies, so it's kind of a strange one in that, yeah, you throw your attacks into it, is there a point? It's going to die anyway at the end of it, and on a roll he gets to bring it back, which he does, and he's able to bring it back again, and they get the rampage off again, which really neuters down my giants, really puts their attack characteristics sort of in the bin, which isn't great. It really just turns into, I kill a bunch of rat ogres, and then it goes over to his turn, and he's able to then get all his shooting off, get all his charges off, get all his little tricks off. You get 5 up ward, you get extra attacks, you get extra health, extra movement. It's a really, really interesting army, and I actually quite like it a bit. And as you said, quite cheap to build due to the recent Spearhead magazine, where if you got enough of them, you were able to get quite a few rat ogres for not very expensive. But overall, really, really fun game. As I said, both armies just wanted to smash, both armies smashed, but unfortunately came out in the Skaven's favour. Going into game 5, I'm against Stormcast, and Stormcast, I know, I've played a lot of Stormcast. I've also played against a lot of Stormcast. They're very do what they say on the tin army. It's probably going to be 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 or 2 damage, and really sort of do what they say. It was a typical list. You might have seen it a few times. It had Krondis for a lot of casting, some Praetors to give them a 5-up ward, long strikes, because long strikes just do what they do. They just sort of assassinate targets. A really nice little piece, especially with the teleporting around. The Relictor to then also get a guaranteed translocate, so you can put the long strikes in a bad position with a deep strike, sort of try assassinate something, and then teleport them out, and then get the relictor out as well, just by running or whichever, or maybe getting another spell on his turn. After that, lots of soul swans. So again, another teleporting unit. I think they only get it once per game, but they hit quite hard. I think they're more elite. I think they've got 3 wounds potentially each, so they're a little bit more elite, a little bit more hardy than your normal Stormcast. And again, they've got a teleport, so it can be quite tricky to sort of pin this army down. It was, unfortunately, for my opponent on Paths of the Fae, which is one I've never actually played before, and when it got announced, the whole room sort of just groaned. I can see why. Being able to teleport giants around, because in this game at least I purposely aimed to be the underdog, because it seemed very handy. So I was down by sort of 1 or 2 points, and I was able to, due to how big the giant's base is, take the turn order and then teleport my Kraken Eater off an objective, and then pick another one of his units, and it teleports his unit of Questor Soul Swans off the objective. I get to put mine down first, and then he was either forced into putting down his units right down by my Kraken Eater, not great for him, or on the other side, which he would be surrounded by sort of 1 or 2 other units, also not great for him. So I think this may have happened twice. So it was, this battle plan actually benefited me quite a bit in terms of things that happened. So he gets the first turn again. This is a common theme. I try to give my opponent the first turn, just aiming for a double turn with the Kragnos and 3d6 charge really going in. He casts the Purple Sun, and again, I think this is something that he made the same mistake as my last opponent, where me having a 3d6 charge and also having massive bases, where he placed the Purple Sun, instead of it being a roadblock, I was able to charge off of the sun and then position myself in a way where I was able to target his units that were behind it. So I was able to kill in one combat with my, I believe it might be my War Stomper and my Kragnos, I was able to kill one whole squad of Vanquishers. This is off mortal wounds and combat, and a squad of Soul Sworn. So that's great. One squad's not gotten on their teleport ability off already, which puts me in a nice position, and I think I really caught him off with what happened there. He wins the next turn, unfortunately, so I'm not able to really double down and get more things. And it's just sort of the same thing again. Teleports around the board. A lot of this is him teleporting around the board with Krondis and such to kill my Kraken Eater. He does get the charge off with Krondis into my Kraken Eater. However, he doesn't get his Praetors in, meaning his Kraken Eater is a Krondis. He loses the ward save, so not great. And Krondis himself, while beefy, isn't as beefy as his brother, so he's not able to take down the Kraken Eater, which is also very bad. I get the Rampage off with the Kraken Eater, which lets me sort of choke slam him on the other side of the Kraken Eater, and you'll see it really puts him in a bad position where he's now, with his turn being over after this into my turn, I'm able to just literally walk the Gatebreaker and Kragnos just almost with the outside of 3 of Krondis, which really puts him in a bad position there. The long strikes teleport down and try and assassinate Kragnos, but unfortunately they're not able to do it, so Kragnos lives, and it leaves the long strikes in a really bad position, unfortunately. With that, it goes over into my turn, where I'm able to move Kragnos outside of the Krondis, and I'm able to charge. I get 14 mortal wounds off. With the other little bits and pieces he's taken here, that just kills Krondis straight up. because he no longer has the ward save, so that's really bad. I retreat my Kraken Eater because I want to keep him alive. I want to teleport him again and grab another objective. So he retreats, and then I'm able to rally him a bit throughout the game to try and keep him alive. And then the long strikes just get slapped by a giant and they all die pretty much straight away, which is very, very good on my end. Those long strikes could be, when they're teleporting around and stuff, can be really bothersome. It then goes, he wins the turn order again, I believe, and with this he summons back a bunch of long strikes, and he teleports Questors over, and they're eventually able to kill Kragnos and my Kraken Eater. Kraken Eater, of course, redeployable 1 again, so we're, not great, but I don't think it really would have changed that much. With that, I'm then able to go into my turn. I'm able to teleport the War Stomper using the Underdog ability again, move him up to the top left, and the Gatebreaker moves up to the new long strikes that have been there. They roll for a redeploy, and I guess, in a dice game, he also rolls a 1 on his redeploy. So unfortunately, they're gonna die. They both die to the swings, the long strikes, and the priest. However, the priest comes back on a 3 and gets 3 wounds back. I try to power through, not able to kill the priest, unfortunately, and it just sort of keeps going from there. I'm going into the different Questors as they teleport around, and I kill them. The priest just teleports literally to the literal corner of the board, so I can never get him. I'm able to move around and just get enough objectives and stuff and battle tactics to effectively, this game comes to a draw, but to those things I mentioned before, the secondaries, I end up winning it because his secondary was to have 1 artifact on the board, but I had 2, and mine was to teleport twice around the board, which I did with my Kraken Eater, which is the first time I'd ever be able to do that with this army because of this battle plan. So again, I think the battle plan really helped out here. I'll throw up a list of the secondaries. This is a Carnage only thing. This is not an Age of Sigmar thing if you're not used to the game. Again, it's just like an added little objective. You pick them before each game, and it's just a little extra thing. As I said, this isn't aiming to be super tryhard sweaty tournament, even though the Daughters of Cain, Sylvaneth and Lumineth amount of players would tell you otherwise. But it's, it just helps out. It adds a little score, adds a little extra flair to each game as well, gives you a little something to think about. Some of the ones I can't do, the teleport one I wouldn't have been able to do unless this battle plan had been picked, and there was another one with like shooting, which I couldn't really do either. But so that was my tournament overall. So for myself, I went 2-3, which is better than I expected to do, thankfully, because this GHB for myself has been pretty bad. I've not been able to get just do as well as I normally do. Previous editions in 2nd and 3rd, I think the worst I'd ever do was a 2-1, which I'm very happy with, but this edition, I don't know what happened. I was just not able to really click with the battle tactics, or maybe an army, I'm not sure. So I was never able to I even had one where I had a 0-3, which is not great. That's overall how I did at the event. I would always recommend you to, if you're on the fence about thinking about it, trying out a tournament. They're a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people, you learn a lot of things that you can't really get from just casual games. You also really speed up and get used to your army a lot quicker. You'll see a lot of armies you probably never would have seen before. If you're ever around, I would definitely recommend Carnage. It is definitely one of the best ones to go to. I know tickets go up very quickly, so keep an eye on those. Like, we were already all planning to go next year again. So that wraps up everything with that tournament overall. Generally overall, just like to say thanks to my team, the Exploding Sixes, just being a great bunch of lads and sorting out tickets and getting us to the event. Also thanks to Alex for running the event, couldn't do it without him, and all the players for making it a great event itself.